What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, and welcome to Lactic Acid. I'm your host, Dominique Smith. This episode is a part of our Global Running Day series, so definitely check out the series of episodes. And then there's a big video that we're working on, myself and Anderson Emerald of track and field, Black history, as well as the final leg. So all the details in that you will have heard prior to the show. But today I have a Florida legend. He is a baller shot caller, doing it big with the camera in his hand, making waves every stop he gets. And he is definitely the face of the sport when it comes to how this thing is covered. He is none other than the Florida legend that is, I'm going to call him the Florida man himself, doing it big in Maryland, Mr. Jan Figueroa. Jan, what's going on, bro? How you feeling?
What's going on, brother, man? I'm feeling good. I appreciate you for allowing me to be on here, man. It's a pleasure.
Dog, we've been talking about this for months. I had to have the living legend. I told you like a few months ago I had to have you on the show, but
Facts, facts.
you've been traveling so doggone much. I was like, dang, I don't know if I got to make an appointment with bro just to try to get into stuff like that. Nah, but man, I'm thrilled to have you on the show, but I got to treat you like other athletes, so I have to ask you this question first. So let's just say you've been balling out, you've been taking pictures, you've been doing it big, you had your own podcast, and that's how we got started. But now we've upgraded like the Jeffersons, movement on up. So these companies, man, have been taking wind of just the great things you've done in the sport, and those companies are Food Network, Ben and Jerry, and then Nickelodeon. And so what they're going to do for you, they're like, all right, we're going to create a promotion to celebrate his awesomeness in the summertime. Food Network wants to know the custom gourmet meal that you would want created, and they're going to put it in they're going to send out a chef of their best chef, rather, and then they're going to put the meal that you choose that you want them to make in every menu that they're affiliated with. All right, Ben and Jerry, both of them want to know the two flavors of ice cream that you would use to create a custom gourmet ice cream. They're going to combine it into one. They're going to sell it everywhere. Last thing, Nickelodeon. So back in the day, there was a show called The Wild Thornberrys, and the main character, Eliza Thornberry, had the ability to talk to animals. That power is going to be bestowed upon you. You get to choose any animal that you would want to have a conversation with. So, three things we need for this promotion. We need the food, we need the gourmet meal, we need the two flavors of ice cream, and we want to know what animal you're talking with.
Man, the food one's tough. I've been thinking the whole time you've been talking. I'm trying to think. I mean, I've recently, now that I'm in Maryland, I'm a big seafood guy. A lot of seafood down here in Maryland since we live close to the water in Baltimore. I'll go with some fish tacos, man. I've been lately been really into the fish tacos. Like, okay, they do it pretty good here in Maryland, so I'm gonna have to go with the fish tacos. Then the two flavors. Man, I'm basic when it comes to ice cream, man. I'm a huge vanilla guy, but I'll say cookie dough ice cream. I'm a big cookie dough guy. Growing up, that's the ice cream that my mom liked the most. So like anytime we go to she would buy you go to Cold Stone and you can get like the family pack that brings like the tub of ice cream with the little like freaking cups to like share with your family. She would always get cookie dough. So like I kind of grew up eating that. I love cookie dough ice cream, and I'm just gonna go cookies and cream, like a little cookie dough, cookies and cream combination.
I like that. Okay.
And then animal, man, I would have to say like probably like a gorilla or something like that. Like something like like I feel like a gorilla is such like an interesting animal. Like I feel like they're like big and strong, but they're also very smart.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they're very smart animals. So I would like to have a conversation and see like the way they think. I'm also like, as soon as you said that, the first thing that came to my mind was like Planet of the Apes, and like those movies are sick. So like just being able to communicate with a gorilla would be kind of sick.
It is. So think about like gorillas, apes, monkeys, and all that stuff. They have such human-like qualities. It's not even funny. Like just the way they interact, just the way they do things, the way they're able to understand things. They are the most like humans. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Life. It's crazy.
Dude, they could teach you how to throw a good fade too. So, I'm definitely with that. Cookies and cream and cookie dough. I actually really like that.
Yeah.
I think that would go hard, especially at
a little basic, but still it gets the job done.
It does get the job done, but you get like, I don't know. There's so many different flavor profiles that you're getting,
Yeah.
especially if you can get it done at Cold Stone, man. I don't know. There's also this place on International Drive. It's very sketchy after the sun goes down, but it's legit. It's called Mr. Cool.
Okay.
Okay, it is marathon trials. Like I said, it's a little weird down there because there's not many lights on that side of International, but
Oh,
it
I
is.
trust me. I'm from Orlando, so I know
You know how it is.
I
You
know
know
how
how
it
it is.
is. But I've never heard of that place. So next time I'm home, I definitely gotta go check it out.
It's not far from the CC's Pizza, if you can believe that's still
Okay,
open.
okay.
On International, closer to Universal. So, um, I think I don't know if they would make, but you can customize it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and what they do is they like Cold Stone, they like make it into rolls or whatever the case might
Yeah,
be,
like
like
right in
sushi
front
rolls.
of you.
Yeah. So I think that would be sick though. Let me ask you this: are the crab cakes in Maryland authentic?
I've actually haven't tried any.
Really?
I've had like crab legs, I've had like fish tacos, shrimp tacos, like um their crab dip is like always really almost any restaurant I've been to that I've tried crab dip or like crab soup or anything like that, it's like
Okay.
it's very good. So I would say it's authentic. I mean, we're right by the water, like we see like people in boats like fishing and stuff all the time. So I think it's legit. And I mean,
Wow.
apparently like I think the crab is like Maryland's like animal, like the state animal. Like
Won't surprise me.
when I drive by the city, like the massive water wells or like there's a couple like just like a couple buildings that like just have like a ton of crabs on them.
Wow.
And I'm like,
That's
oh, like
crazy.
they must really like crabs here. Like which is crazy because like obviously I know it's by the water, like now that I live here, but like when I first moved there, I was like, oh, is like Maryland's known for like seafood? Like doesn't like add up, but I guess it does.
It's like it's by the water, but it's not like it's by the water, but it's not as if you're like in the northeast or whatever the case
Yeah.
might be. And it's like on the water. Like
Yeah,
that's on the
exactly.
water.
Yeah.
And so the fact that they get it done like that, I was like, man, that's kind of crazy. Like I never would have expected that from Maryland.
Yeah,
But
facts.
apparently it's a big thing there. But all right, Jan, listen, man. So about a year ago, year and some change ago, I wrote a story on Jan because Jan did something. It was, I'm just gonna keep it real with you. I thought it was one of the stupidest things in the world. I've ridden on the bus in far locations, but
Yeah.
when I heard I was like, man, more power to him because you can not enough money in the world to do it. But the dudes over at New Gen Track and Field, led by Ben Crawford, Matt Wisner, doing big things over there, really elevating the sport through the art of creativity and storytelling via the video form, as well as their magazine. Guess you got in with them, and Ben was like, "Dude, I dare you to go on the bus." So Jan drove like 3 days on a bus to get to the World Championships,
Yeah.
and got the attention of like everybody. Um, which World Athletics should have paid for your flight to back at least. Just saying, just saying. That's just a suggestion, even though I ain't gonna get into that. But he did that, went out, produced some great content there. Comes back around. I didn't even know you were a photographer, and
Dude,
now you're
I was I wasn't, but we'll get into that though.
you're at every major meet taking high level photos, big time photos from just, and the thing that impresses me for somebody who may not have a background in photography, the just the kind of your eye for like for a story, basically, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I remember you shot pictures of Michael Norman, but you shot it with like the angle of like, yo, this dude's been in the weight room, like he's yoked up, he's swole. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So tell me about this journey to like one of the most entertaining and yet high rising stars when it comes to our track and field media perspective, because you've been on the grind everywhere, on the high school level, on the professional level, collegiate level, producing high level content, high level great content that's really helping to grow the sport.
Yeah, no. So yeah, this summer was crazy, man. I mean, I had just graduated with my master's from the University of Tampa. I had just pretty much exhausted my NCAA eligibility to compete. So I was kind of like, I graduated in December, finished my eligibility, and then I was kind of like from December till the summer, I was in that, that limbo period when like you just finished school and you're trying to figure out your life and like what your career is going to be and stuff like that. Like I always knew I wanted to get into sports. Like my ultimate career goal has always been to be an athletic director at a university. So I kind of like moved back home and like told my parents like, hey, like I'm just gonna take this time from December till the summer to just enjoy my life. Like I've been in school for 6 years. I just graduated. I've been competing for 6 years. I just want to like have fun. And then after the summer, like I'll actually like dive in and like start working on my resume, start applying for jobs, this, and that. And with the focus of looking for jobs, kind of like whether it was in media or marketing or ticketing or something in that realm at an athletic department, because obviously an athletic director is not a job you just get straight out of graduating. You kind of start at the bottom and work your way up. So
Right.
that was kind of my plan going into that summer. And obviously, like you know how it was, everything went through Eugene this summer: NCAA's, USA's, Worlds. So it was kind of like, as a fan of the sport and someone who competed in the sport, I was like, man, like I want to be out there for all that. Like that sounds like so much fun. But at the time, like I just didn't have the money to just fly out to Eugene every other weekend or pretty much every weekend at the
Yeah.
time. And it was one of those things where like I had been good friends with Ben through the internet. Loved the stuff he had been doing in Eugene, especially like when he started like really blowing up during the COVID summer. That's when I really caught wind of him and like, what the stuff he was doing, and like became a huge fan, and like would always send him messages like, "Hey man, like this stuff is sick, like this is inspiring, like this is dope," and like it was something always that piqued my interest in doing like photography and video and stuff like that. But like at the time in my life, like being a student and an athlete, like I just didn't have the time or the monetary resources to do that. Like I was always studying or in school, I was always competing, and I just didn't have the money at the time to like buy camera equipment and do stuff like that. So then, yeah, man, like just kind of got like blessed to like build a friendship with him through the internet and like always communicated and stuff. And then when summer came around, it was kind of like obviously he started doing big things with like big brands, and like they had the tailgate at NCAA's, and they did tailgate again at USA's, and then just had like more events at Worlds. And he kind of wanted to like put a team together of people to like come out to Eugene and help him with that kind of stuff, because obviously like planning big events and doing big events like that is not like, yeah, there's always like the brain of the operation, but like it takes multiple people to like accomplish something like that. So
Right.
kind of wanted to put a team together, and I was lucky and blessed that he saw something in me and saw the talent, saw my passion for the sport, saw like that I really wanted to like help push the sport forward, and was like, hey, like we want to bring you on. Like, would you be down to come to NCAA's and like help out? And I was like, heck yeah, like call my job, yo, I need these days off. I'm not coming to work. Like, if you guys don't give me the days off, then I guess I'm gonna quit. Went out to NCAA's, and then that's when I bought my first camera. I bought my first camera right before
Really?
NCAA's. I actually had a coworker who had it's actually this camera right here. I'll show it to you. This Nikon.
Okay.
He
I
was
have that exact same camera too.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was trying to get rid of it. He was like him and his wife are like moving. He was cleaning out his house, found this camera. I was like, hey man, like I know you're really into running and photography and all this stuff. Like I have this camera, like I'm selling it. Like I'll sell it to you for $50. So I looked up the camera. I was like, oh, this camera costs like $300, $400 new right now. And I like hit up Ben and like Joe Hale and a couple of those photographer guys. I was like, yo, like this person's like selling this camera. And they were like, it's an older camera, but like for $50, like for what you wanted, like right now, like it's worth it. Like take it.
Yeah.
And yeah, went out to NCAAs with this little guy and took pictures there. Like, and I mean, obviously, like to get good pictures, you have to have good equipment.
Right.
And not that this is bad equipment, but it's not as advanced as some of the other cameras that I own now. And but I was still able to get like you said, like just pictures from like different angles and different perspectives, that even though maybe the quality of the picture wasn't great, like you can tell this, you can see the story I was trying to piece together through the
Right.
photography. And they were like, man, like you have an eye, like this is good, like this is good work. Like if you actually invest in this, like you can like do this, like you can do something with it. And I was like, yeah, like I didn't have the money. I was just like, yeah, for sure, like that would be sick, but like just can't do it right now. And then yeah, it was pretty much like from there, it just kept getting better and better. Like went like pretty much flew back home after NCAA's. USA's comes around. Ben's like, hey man, like we enjoyed having you. Like you were great. Like want to come back for USA's. I'm like, heck yeah. So then for USA's, I was like, all right, like I'm gonna take the advice of these guys. So I went out and rented a better camera. I rented out like a Canon, whatever, with like a 70 to 200 lens. And I was like, okay, like I'm just gonna rent this, take it with me, and play around with it and see what I can make. And then yeah, USA's went great. Like was able to get great shots. Like made more connections, met more people, and that's when I really was like, man, like this is fun. I enjoy it. Like it gives me a different perspective on the sport. Like I really want to do this. And then Worlds came like while we were at USA's, we were talking about Worlds and like how sick it would be to like kind of have the whole squad come back. But then at the time it was like okay, like stuff like flights and like hotels and stuff for Worlds is like way more expensive than an NCAA and USA. So like we might not be able to make it happen. And then one night we were just like chilling at Ben's house, like all the boys, and Ben's like, "Damn, bro, like imagine if like, dude, like you should take the bus, bro. Like the bus is so much cheaper. Like imagine if you just took the bus from Florida to Eugene." And I was like, bro, like if you cover it for me, I promise you, bro, I would be at that station. I would get on that bus. And he was like, bro, you're crazy, bro. Ain't no way, bro. Like that's crazy. And then like there was like a weekend between USA's and Worlds, which was like the weekend of like the high school national meet out in
Yep.
Eugene.
Yep.
And like right around that weekend, he was like, "Hey, bro, you weren't serious about that bus, right?" And I was like, "Bro, I'm dead ass serious, bro. Like, bro, it's like World Championships have never been on US soil. Like, who knows when's the next time that's ever gonna happen? Like,
Right. It's
it's
once in a
like
lifetime.
yeah, like getting to go and spend 10 days like just like creating content and like hanging out with friends, making more connections and just seeing the best track and field athletes in the world compete. Like, bro, you could have told me like bro, like I'll get on that bus, bro. Like I don't want to miss it. Like I don't want to miss it. Like I want to be there like for that. Like I don't want to look back and say like, man, I said no to the bus and then look back and like regret it. So then he was like, all right, man, like, let's make it happen. He called me that night. Like, we pretty much like on FaceTime with him, booked it. It was like 4 days. I was like, at the time, I was like, at first, I was like, oh man, like, that's crazy, bro. Like, ain't no way. Like, it's just so many things that can go wrong because I had to switch buses 9 times. So like if one bus is late to the next bus stop, I'm stuck wherever that bus
You're right.
stop is.
Yep.
So it's kind of like it's one of those things where like first it's 4 days where like most of like I think my most of my rest stops like were from like 45 minutes to like an hour 30. So it's not like a long enough rest stop where I can go somewhere and shower and like change and stuff. It was like I'm gonna have to be like baby wiping
Pretty
rest
much.
stops and like
Gonna be
changing my clothes just to like get into fresh clothes, but like I won't be able to shower. Like, I mean, I'll be able to brush my teeth at like bathrooms and stuff, but like no showering for 4 days, like just sitting on a bus with strangers for 4 days. Like, so many things can go wrong. But I was like, you know what, man? Like, let me go. And like, if something goes wrong and like I just don't make it, then at least I can look back and say I tried.
right.
And yeah, we booked it, and then I like tweeted about it. I like tweeted about it, like just thinking like, oh, like I like tweeted about it, like just to like thinking like all my close friends and like my photographer friends are just gonna drop me a like and like be like this is crazy type thing. Tweet about it like probably like 3 days before I even get on the bus. I tweet about it. It gets some traction, nothing crazy. I wake up the next morning, bro. My phone was nonstop, nonstop. Like, because I guess World Athletic, like it got enough traction and like it started getting so many retweets and so many likes that like someone from World Athletics social media caught wind of it, took a screenshot of it, and posted it on their Instagram and on their Twitter. They were like, man, like these are the kind of fans we want at the World Championships, like dedicated fans, and like tagged me. So now I'm getting followers from like all types of pro runners, all types of people in the running world. I'm getting calls from like newspapers, like Oregon newspaper called me. I'm Puerto Rican, so like the Puerto Rican newspaper, like the Puerto Rican news caught wind of it. They called me. Like some dude from Great Britain, like interviewed me on the over the phone for like
Dang.
a British article. I was like, this is like I just woke up. I remember like waking up the next day, probably spent like 5 6 hours without moving from my room because it was like so overwhelming, and I was just like just trying to like do my best to like respond to everyone, like interact with everything. I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like, I need to take a full advantage of this. Like, I
Right.
literally did not leave my room for like 6 hours. Like, didn't eat a meal. Like, I was just like on the phone grinding, like calling, like
Locked in.
talking to people, like just like grinding. And then yeah, it was like a snowball effect. Like once like some people saw it, then World Athletics saw it, then other people reposted it, and like athletes started like catching notice and like quote tweeting, and they're like, yo, like this guy's crazy, this and that. Like then it was just from there, it was just like I was like a sensation before 3 days before I even got on the damn bus. And it was like I had people messaging me like, "Hey man, like, are you on the bus?" And I was like, "Dude, like, I'm not even. I don't get on the bus in like another 3 days. Like, this is crazy how like crazy like big it blew up." But yeah, man, it was just such so crazy how quick everything happened, and like to have the opportunity to like just see the support from the running community. Like, I have so many people like that like reach out with like, "Yo, like, we want to Venmo you like money for food and like for whatever you need." So like I ended up making like a business Venmo just for like I called it Greyhound Bus Jan. And like, dude, I got like an insane amount of Venmos coming in from like athletes and like fans and people like on almost every single one of my bus stops. I had like people from those cities like who were track fans who saw my story come out to the bus stop and bring me food for like free. And it was just like it just gave me like such a different perspective on like the fan side of the sport. It was like, man, like this is such a crazy community. Like, because I mean, I've seen it firsthand in Florida. Like the Florida running community is so tight knit and like so close, and everyone supports each other. But like to see it from like a worldwide point, like where like people from all over the world were messaging me, like people from all over the country were reaching out, and like people were checking in on me throughout my bus ride and like stuff like that. I was like to me, like, man, if something went wrong during my trip and I didn't make it, it was like already a win for me, because I was like, man, like just to see the support and like how like there's so many other people who love track and field as much as
Yeah.
I do, who are willing to support a complete stranger on a journey like that. Like it was so dope. But obviously nothing went wrong. I think the only one time I was worried was like from Atlanta to Chicago. We were delayed by like 15 minutes, but the bus driver called ahead and was like, hey, like we're coming like 15, 20 minutes late. Hold that bus, because
Right.
like 90% of the people on this bus are transferring from this Atlanta bus to the like to that bus in Chicago. So that was like the only time when I was like, oh man, I might get stuck in Chicago. But other than that, it was like smooth sailing, like, and it was like fun because like throughout the whole journey, like it was like I was always on my phone, like interacting with fans, interacting with people through different social media. So like to me, it like flew by. Like I remember getting to Eugene. I was like, man, like that felt like one day. Like I literally felt like I was on the bus for just like 24 hours. Like that's how like entertaining it was to like just keep people like keep updating people on my journey and stuff like that. It was sick. And then obviously being at Worlds was an amazing experience.
If something went wrong, I have no doubt that they would have paid for you to
Oh
somehow.
yeah, no, they obviously they told me ahead of time that like, man, if you get stuck, we got like we so, like we'll figure something out. Like we got to, like, don't worry about it. And but yeah, no, I mean it was one of those things. Like I had people offer me to fly me out to Eugene before I even got on the bus. Like I had people like random strangers reach out like, man, like that sounds dangerous. Like, can we please buy you? Where they were like, there was this one guy who shout out to him. I won't say his name. I don't know if he would want me to like mention him, but he actually bought my flight back home. So I didn't take the bus back, which would have been dope, but like also would have been after 10 days of being at Worlds and having to ride another 4 days on a bus
That
would
was
have done
brutal.
brutal things to my body. But that guy reached out to me and was like, hey man, like this doesn't sound very safe. Like I've ridden a Greyhound bus from literally from Portland to Eugene, and it's sketchy, it's scary. Like, and you're doing this across the country, like you're gonna encounter some crazy stuff. Like if it's because you can't afford a flight, like let me know. Like I'm wherever you are on your journey, like find the nearest airport. I'll buy you a flight the rest of the way. And it was one of those things where like at that point it had blown up so big that like if I didn't get on that bus, I was gonna be a fraud. Like everyone was gonna be like,
Yeah,
"This kid's a fraud. This kid's a liar." Like I would have gotten canceled by the running community, and like probably
real
would have had to
quick.
like probably would have had to like go hide in a hole and like never show my face again. And it was one of those things I reached back out to him like very respectful. I was like, "Hey man, like I appreciate it. It's not because lack of money or whatever. It's kind of like something that me and my friends talked about. It sounded cool. I'm crazy, like, and I just willingly wanted to do it. And like at this point, like it's too late to back down, but I appreciate it." And then he was very kind. I ended up like meeting up with him and got dinner while I was in Eugene. And then he offered to pay my flight back, and I gratefully took it after 10 days for sure.
Oh God, listen, it is hard enough just to fly into Eugene. Like I remember flying into Covering Creek, flew, where did we go? Went Orlando to Atlanta, Atlanta to Salt Lake City, Salt Lake City to Eugene. So I can't even imagine just being on a bus.
Yeah, man. I saw some crazy things.
Cause like, but it was cool because I remember watching like the videos, and then obviously we have connections here in Florida because you know, we know some of the people who are Floridians, just having won with them or against them or seen them at some point or another,
Yeah.
like Sinclair Johnson's mom, and I believe it was her mom or her dad. I think it was
Her mom and her dad.
her parents at different locations came out, you know, to bring you food and stuff. I think they brought you
Yeah.
like Chipotle or something, and
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, it was just amazing just to kind of see, you know, how it all took off. Well, let me ask you this before we get to some off track stuff. Did you ever, because pretty much right now you're photo shooting every big meet or in every meet possible, essentially. Did you ever think that it would take off the way it did post Worlds? Pretty much, did after you accomplished what you accomplished, did you ever feel like you would be to the point where you're in high demand for what you're able to bring, you know, to the track and field community?
No, man, like really, I thought that was my peak. Like it was like I peaked like not like now I'm just gonna be remembered as the bus guy. Like if I ever go to a meet or whatever and people recognize me, they're gonna be like, bro, you're that guy that rode the bus, like which happens still to this day. And I think it's freaking hilarious. But no, it was one of those things where like it was like I didn't do it for the purpose of like trying to like make something happen out of it. It was just like literally, I'm a huge fan of the sport. An opportunity presented itself for me to go to the world championships. Like, who wouldn't take that? Like,
Yeah,
it was kind of like a no brainer for me. Like, not thinking of like the future repercussions of what might happen because I did this. Just thinking of in the moment, like, man, I get to be at the world championships. Like, that's literally like all I can think of. I was like, this is sick. Like this is awesome. Like this is like I'll remember this for the rest of my life. But then obviously like from there like things just started like falling in place. It was like obviously like now like everyone in Eugene like knew who I was. It was crazy. Like it was just like I would literally like be walking around the stadium and like fans who were there to watch the world championship will stop me and ask me for pictures and I'm like, dude, I'm a
crazy.
nobody. Like, what do you like? They're like, nah, dude, you rode the damn bus. Like, this is sick. Like, I'm like, yeah, let's take a picture. But no, I mean, it was one of those things where, like, yeah, like after that, like it was just like now I'm at the point where like I knew the right people. Like I inserted myself in the right places and like you know how they say like right place, right time, and then having those connections that I had made over the entirety of the summer from NCAA's to Worlds, like I actually like um I was able to land a full time position as a photographer with a professional running team, which to me, like if you told me at the beginning of that summer I was gonna be a professional photographer for an Under Armour sponsor team, I would have been like, dude, I've never taken a picture a day in my life. But it's one of
Right.
those things where like you when you surround yourself with those kind of people, you learn quick. Like I was around photographers the whole summer. So like literally just from like watching what they did, like like I'm not afraid to ask questions. I'd be like, hey, like, how do I do this? Like, yo, like the meet is like kind of like going towards the nighttime. I've never shot. I'm used to taking pictures during the day. Like, what should my settings be to shoot at night? Like, just asking questions like that, which like to most photographers are like no brainers. Like this is like second nature, but to someone who's brand new, it's like I'm trying to learn all these things, and then just being in that space with like so many great photographers from all over the country, like different perspectives, shoot differently, like have a different way of looking at the sport. It's like you come like just being surrounded by those people and combining all that knowledge, like helped me, I guess, like learn and grow at a way more rapid rate than like a normal person would like just taking a photography class like and stuff like that. Like you're learning straight from the people who do this for a living. Like there's no better teacher.
Oh, for
Like, let's
sure.
like put it that way. And then yeah, just like was able to like there was a team here, there was an Under Armour sponsored team here based in Baltimore, and it was like fairly new team. They had just gotten pretty much like had just gotten announced that summer, kind of like around sometime between NCAAs and USAs, they announced like, hey, like Under Armour has their global headquarters here in Baltimore, and they've always wanted to sponsor a professional team out of Baltimore. So then they finally made that jump. They announced the team. I kind of knew a little about the team just because obviously as a fan, like you hear these things, you see like Citius post about it or like different news channels post about it, but I didn't know anything else. I didn't know who was the coach. I didn't know who the athletes were. Like I just kind of had heard about it, but obviously, yeah, through some of the photographers I met, they were like, hey, like we know this coach. He coaches Under Armour professional team. He's looking for a full-time photographer. Like he's kind of offered the job to a couple people, but like some of the people he offered the job to just didn't want to move to Baltimore at the time. They were kind of good where they were at or just weren't interested. Like a lot of like we've been referring you, like he's gonna reach out to you. So like he reaches out to me while I was out in Eugene and like met up with him. He was like, hey man, like yeah, we have this opportunity. We have a pretty new professional team. We're looking for a full-time photographer just so we can like nowadays like every team should have a full-time content creator just to like help the team grow and like so
Right.
people can see what the team is doing. Like that's what we want, something like that. Like, would you be interested? Like, we've heard great things about you from a lot of other photographers that I know. The only catch is you have to move to Baltimore. And I was like, I kid you not, I looked at the coach and I said, Coach, there's nothing tying me back to Florida. If you gave me the job right now, I would move to Baltimore tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like that's literally what I told him. I was kind of like, which at the time I was like, damn, I didn't even like discuss this with my parents or anything. Like, didn't even like I was just like, yeah, I'll move to Baltimore tomorrow. But at the time, it was just like this like golden opportunity that like realistically, like I hate to put it this way, but it's just real. Like, there's people that like worked their ass off for years to like get in a position where I'm at right now. And I mean, not that I didn't work hard for it, but like, I there was some luck, there was some good luck involved in my situation where I was just lucky to like be at the right place, right time, know the right people, and like obviously I put myself in a good situation and like work hard and like I guess rode the bus for 4 days or whatever. But yeah, I was just like blessed to like and I was like shocked to like, oh, like this is crazy. Like this is happening. This is also happening so fast. But yeah, I was like, yeah, man, like I'd be super interested. Like, let's talk. And then yeah, I went through the whole interview process and moved here in October and been with the team since October. And it's one of those things now where like now I'm pretty much like full-time photographer engraved in the sport. So like I go to almost every big meet because our athletes go to every big meet. So like, anytime one of our athletes is competing at a big meet, I'm there to like cover our athletes competing. And it's just a blessing, man. Like just being able to like travel with the team and go to all these big meets and like sound running. Like I was at the Trials of Miles meet in New York, flying out to the LA Grand Prix this weekend. Like it's still so surreal to me sometimes. I'm just like, man, like this is crazy.
Tell me three things that people do not know about Jan Figueroa.
Three things that people do not know about me. Oh man. So one, I guess like on a personal level, I have five sisters, no brothers. So I grew up with straight chicks my whole life. Um, what else? I mean, I guess on a professional level, I guess like this is something some people know. I feel like most people know, but to those who don't, I actually worked at Under Armour for a year in retail
Okay.
before getting this job with Under Armour, which is kind of like crazy, like how like
Uh,
every like how things work. Like, what are the
Came
chances
full
that
circle.
what are the chances that like I was actually working at Under Armour? I was still working at Under Armour that summer. Like I was just like I would just request days off or like would have my homies like cover my shifts like whenever I went to Worlds and stuff like that. But I was still an Under Armour employee at the outlet mall in Tampa, and then got this opportunity with Under Armour, and that was like the joke of the summer. I was like, this is crazy. Like Jam went from retail to corporate at Under Armour in just 3 months. Like this is crazy. But yeah, for those who didn't know, like I had already converted to Under Armour because obviously like I had graduated and was out of eligibility, so I was not getting any more free gear from my college or any free shoes. So I still like to run and train heavily. So like I transitioned from like the Nikes that I would get to Under Armour because it was what I could afford because I would get 50% off at the store.
Yeah, listen.
I was already running in all their stuff and like all their shorts and shirts and shoes. So like when I got here, like there's still days like when I like show up to practice or to work and like I'm wearing a fit that like the guys are like, where'd you get that? And I was like, ah, bro, they don't sell this online. I got this at the
Oh.
outlet store back in Tampa a couple like last year, man. Y'all don't have this. Y'all might be the pro runners, but y'all don't have this fit though.
That's something, man. You had to go to the retail freaking
Yeah,
pros who
man.
can't even go to headquarters and get the gear, man. Oh, listen, that's a major flex, man. I'm definitely with that.
And then I guess one more thing. Yeah, I mean, um, I've been training for my first marathon for about 16 months now. Hasn't been the prettiest build up, but trying my best. I mean, yeah. So just like background, I used to be a runner. I ran high school in Florida. I in Orlando. Went to Florida.
Lyman. If did you
Was
go
that
to Lyman? Did you go
no
to
Lake
Lyman?
Howell?
Lake Howell. What am I talking about?
Yeah,
Lyman.
Lake Howell, Lake Howell. I came out of Little Lake Howell. Yeah, went off, ran 4 years at Florida Gulf Coast University down in Fort Myers, and then transferred over to University of Tampa, and ran 2 years there, and both great experiences. I would say this: if any kids are listening, man, if people tell you D1 is better than D2 or this and that, not true, man. It's the same. It's the same damn thing, man. Yeah, D1 might have a little bit more opportunities, but if you need to go the D2 route, do not be ashamed, man.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying my 2 years at the D2 level. It was a lot of fun, as much opportunities. Kids are just as fast nowadays. Like
Yeah.
don't no shame in Division 2, but yeah, I ran throughout college, still continue to run, and I've always wanted to get into like marathoning and stuff, but obviously like that's not something you should do during college as a college athlete. But
Right.
now that I'm not a college athlete anymore and I'm kind of like in a good space where like I live with pro runners, I'm around pro runners every day, like it like keeps me motivated to train, and I'm running grandma's marathon this in a couple of weeks,
Oh,
July
okay.
17th.
Yeah.
So just trying to go out there. I mean, we'll see what happens. Training's been like a little up and down just with all the travel recently, but the goal I'll put it out there because I'm not scared to put out goals. My goal is to go sub 230. First marathon ever. So
First marathon.
yeah, yeah.
So dude is trying to freaking qualify for the doggone Olympic trials in
That's the
Orlando.
goal, man. Like realistically, that I put it out there like 6 months, like what, like 4 months ago. I mean, once they announced trials were in Orlando, there was like a switch in my head that like just went like you have to qualify. Like, how sick would it be to run the trials in my hometown, have my family there, my old high school coach, like old high school teammates. So yeah, debuted at grandma's because training hasn't been super great. Goals just to try to break 230, get a feel for it, see, first marathon, get it out of the way. And then in the fall, since because obviously outdoor season is pretty busy with the team, but in the fall, pros don't really race much in the fall.
No.
So, and then we have a couple of the guys on our team that are also gonna shoot for the qualifying time for the trials, but in the half marathon distance. So in the fall, the plan is to like kind of hop in with them and get a really good build up. And then the goal is to shoot for the 218 time at the California CIM in December. So
Dang, man.
that's the plan. And if it happens, it happens. I'll be sick. And if it doesn't happen, I'll still be at the trials taking pictures.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Freaking Lake Eoba. I always say, man, they haven't released a course yet, but you live here just like I live here. You know it's going to be the only thing that you hope is conducive is the weather, but everything else is a flat surface.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
it's the best surface you'll ever run on because it's
Oh,
all over Orlando is flat unless if they had trials from like freaking Claremont, then yeah,
Claremont.
that'd be a problem, or Tallahassee.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Orlando is just a
Orlando.
flat surface.
Yeah. Pancake, baby.
Dude, I tell you, I tell people like you get to Lake Eola, you better watch out for those geese. Because
Dude, they're aggressive.
those geese are evil.
Yeah, they'll
Like
like hiss at you. Like, I'm like, whoa, what
they'll
the?
hiss at you, they'll charge at you. That's what I'm like,
Yeah,
listen,
it's crazy.
like I don't know what they're gonna have to do with all those geese. Like because I'm genuinely curious what
You're
their
gonna,
reaction is
you're
going to
gonna
be
have to put
going
him
to
in
the rest of the
cages for the day and then
game.
release him.
But the swans, you're good, but those geese, man, like they are pure deep evil. That would actually be sick. I ain't gonna lie to you. I will reach out to write that story. Local photographer who rides bus like makes the Olympic team. Like I'm
That's what I'm saying. Like, how crazy would that be?
Lake Howell, dude, that would just be in freaking insane. I listen, I'm with that. I hope that happens. I really do hope that happens. And
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, fingers crossed, man. That'd be so sick.
you can lead the charge in the men's marathon to help turn around, our fortunes and everything. I'm so with that. How do you find time to like balance everything and like stay rested?
It's just like, I guess, like being a college athlete like helped a lot. Like, because in college you have to balance so many things, like school, like training, like a social life, like treatment, like just like all those things. And I feel like it's kind of the same now. Like, it feels like I'm like back in like a college system, like,
Yeah.
like just like balancing like like when making sure like when I have to go to practices for work, like when I like figuring out times when I can get my own runs in, like with travel and stuff like that. It's very similar. I mean, it can get tiring at times just because, like, like I like to work. I like to grind. I like to like stay busy. I like to work. I like to grind. I don't. There's rarely any time when I actually like to sit down and enjoy just watch TV. Mainly when the Lakers are playing, but they
I'm
disappointed.
gonna ask. I'm gonna go ask about that. I'm gonna ask
They
about that in just a
disappointed. So
second.
now I'm rooting for Jimmy. I'm rooting for Jimmy to get his first one. But yeah, no, man, it's definitely a balance. There's times when it's tough. Like, there's times when, like, I like put too much on my plate and I'm like, oh, like tomorrow I have this and this. Oh, I got this all, and then I'll like get lazy and sit on the couch for like more time than I should, and then I'm like, oh shit, like not like I'm rushing to do things and stuff like that. So it's just finding that balance and like making sure, like, if I stick to my like a schedule and like this and take care of things, and then just like take time for myself too. Like, obviously, yeah, I enjoy working, I enjoy grinding, like, and this isn't that, but like I should also deserve time for myself and just like get away from the team and like enjoy a movie, or like go for my own run and like just forget about everything else and stuff like that. But yeah, it hasn't been bad at all, man. It's been fairly easy. Um, I would say the hardest parts are like the weekends when I travel to meets, because you stand at a meet all day and you take pictures, and then now I'm in a space where like people want content like immediately.
Right.
Like, there's no like, oh, I can take pictures of this meet and like take like 2 3 days to edit them and send them out. Like, no, like, if I take pictures of a meet, and like, especially if our team runs well, like this past weekend in New York City, like our team ran really well. I took pictures. I was there from like 5 to like almost midnight.
Mm.
Then it was like the next day, like they're expecting a post on our team page, like on
Yeah.
the expecting a post on our team page, like highlighting that our team just went 1 2 3 in the 1500, that we had a guy run 827 in the steeple, we had a girl run 416 in the 1500, like, so it's one of those things where like I can't just like relax after the like and be like, oh, like I'll look at these pictures on Sunday. No, it's kind of like stay up a little later than maybe I will want to, editing pictures and making sure I get everything right, so that the next day when I wake up around whenever, like, and then when the appropriate time hits, I have the pictures ready to post. So I would say the weekends are like definitely the hardest part, but it's one of those things where like I feel like for a lot of photographers who have been doing this for years tell me like, oh man, you're gonna get to a point where you're gonna hate it, you're gonna be so tired all the time. But I feel because I'm so new to it and
Right.
it's just so exciting to me, like I don't get tired. I'm just like, dude, what do you mean I'm gonna get tired of doing this? This is so fun. Like, I'm enjoying it. They're like, wait till 2 3 years when you have to stay up late, and you're like, oh man, you're older. You don't want to be staying up late and stuff like that. But right now, I'm enjoying it and I'm managing well.
What happened with the Lakers?
Man, I don't know. I mean, props to them. I mean, from playing to Western Conference Finals, like, can't really complain much. Like, I mean, as a fan, I expected them to go to the finals, but everyone else probably expected them to like be a first round exit or like lose to the Warriors or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, after the trade deadline, we were the best team in the NBA. Everyone was playing well, but this series, it was like LeBron just looked old, which didn't happen the first two playing games and the past two series. Like he looked great, and then all of a sudden, when it most mattered most, he actually looked old. AD is just so up and down, man. Like he'll have 41 night, and then the next night give me 9. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, can't even give me 10, bro. Like,
It's,
and Jokic is just, man, like Jokic is filthy, man. I always see those stat lines at the end of the game. I was like, dude had 37, 14, and 17. Like how do you guard that? And then you add on that Jamal Murray averaged 30 a game against us. Like when your second option is averaging 30 a game, like it's gonna be tough to beat them. And realistically, we were close every game. Every game came down to the wire. It was just like I swear the Lakers would like completely forget how to play basketball the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter.
it was closer than the Celtics game that is on my television.
Oh, are they
Um,
getting blown out?
no, well, it's a 4 point game, but the Lakers did not get whooped
Oh yeah,
at
yeah,
any
yeah.
point.
No, no,
They
no.
played it even the first game. They played it close.
Yeah,
LeBron had that foot injury that he
yeah.
sustained, and so I think that played more part in it because he was limping. AD, he's such a dominant defender, but it's like on offense, it's like
He's
ah.
so hit or miss. Yeah.
And then the problem is like I think there's a couple problems too. I think D'Lo, like think about it. Aaron Gordon had 23 last night. Jamal Murray had 20. Jokic had a big game. Contavious Caldwell Pope had a big game.
Yeah, Brown. Oh my
Brown
God.
had a big game. You're looking at if it's not LeBron, it has to be Reeves and
Hashimura. Reeves and
Hachimura,
Hashimura had that big game and we lost it. I was like,
but that's it. Like the
yeah,
Nuggets can
yeah, we're
have
not deep.
seven. Yeah,
Oh
they
yeah.
can have 7 or 8
Yeah,
guys.
Michael Porter Jr., like bro,
Michael Porter Jr.
they're deep, man.
So okay, so I really love Jokic more than I actually like the Nuggets. But realistically speaking, do you think the Heat can beat Denver?
Oh,
I do.
at this point, yeah. I you can't even say like I don't care what the statistics say, like what the stats say. You can't as a fan of the NBA, you can't sit here and be like, there's no way the Miami Heat can beat the Nuggets. Bro, they packed the Bucks, who were the number one. I know Giannis missed a couple games and got hurt, but
They would have beat
no
them with
excuse.
Giannis.
No excuse, man. Like Giannis missed like half of a game and a half. Then New York, I knew they were gonna roll New York, man. I was not where New York, man. Come on, man. If anybody thought New York was gonna beat Miami, they crazy. I don't care if Miami could have been the 17th seed. I would have picked Miami to beat New York.
Ain't nobody really
And
tripping over New York yet.
this I picked them to beat the Celtics just because how well Jimmy's playing and Jimmy's shown that he can carry a team. The role players are playing well. Spo is coaching out of his mind. Like they're just on a hot streak, and I was like, they're gonna beat the Celtics. I if you would have told me they were gonna beat the Celtics like this though, I would have told you nah, they're gonna win in like 6 or 7. But the way they won 2 games at the Garden like that, and both games they were trailing and came back to win, and then come out and whoop them at home. Oh man, like I wouldn't bet against them right now.
I honestly feel like if I'm playing defense or if I'm coaching, let Jokic score 50 points. I don't care
Yeah,
if he
let
scores
Jokic
50
get his,
points.
but stop everyone else.
Because I don't think there's anybody on Denver really that can stay with not Jamal Murray. I'm sorry, but Jimmy
Jimmy,
Butler.
I agree.
Because Jimmy different.
I
Jimmy
mean,
is
man, if Tatum and Brown couldn't contain him, if freaking Jokic Giannis couldn't contain him. Like, I mean, the Bucks are a really good defensive team. They couldn't contain
yeah.
him. The Knicks have a couple good defenders. They couldn't contain it. And the Celtics are a great defensive team as a whole, and they have great individual defenders. And he's been having whatever he wants. Yeah, the Nuggets don't got nobody on that squad that's gonna stop that guy.
I would have loved to have seen the Heat and the Lakers
Oh, that's what I
because
wanted again.
Jimmy would be guarding LeBron because of all the matchups. AD versus Bam. You got Struess and all those guys. Like, I would have loved that series.
Yeah,
I
dude.
That would have gone to 7 games. That would
But
have gone to 7 games.
yeah, I'm at this point. I'm like, I would be. I got this when my team's out, so like, I just hope it's a good series that as a fan I can enjoy. And at this point, whoever wins, I'd be happy. Like seeing if Jokic wins his first, that'd be sick. I mean, the
Right.
Nuggets as a whole, like that would be their first championship ever in their franchise history. So that would be sick. And then seeing Miami, especially with the historic run they've had, if they win, that would be sick too. Like so, either way, I just hope it's not going to be like blowouts left and right and like or sweep. Like, give me at least 6 games, man. Give me at least 6 games.
So let's go over this topic. Then we're gonna wrap this bad boy up. Tell me, how has running kind of helped you, your time as a runner? And well, actually, before I ask that, I gotta ask this because I've been asking this question. I don't even know why, but it's just been this string of answers I've got. What did y'all eat after the high school track meets at Lake Howell? Like, I've heard like Burger King, I've heard cereal, I've heard people gone home to eat, but what was like the go-to meal for your squad?
Oh, we were there was like a steak and shake right by our school.
Oh boy.
And it was always like, especially if meets were like end late, like we would pop in Steak and Shake, and like you get the milkshakes and stuff, like, and it's like you just if you just ran a track meet in Florida, it was hot as hell. Like you've been out there all day, especially in high school when like I swear there's no rules in high school, man. Could just be like, hey man, you're doing the 800, the mile, and the 2 mile, and we need you for the 4x4.
Four
So
by
like
four. Yep,
it's like
sure
it's
enough.
like man, I just ran 4 damn events, man. I'm gonna go get me a milkshake and a greasy burger, man.
Oh my
But yeah,
gosh.
I would say Steak and Shake and like Chick-fil-A was like were like the go-tos for sure.
Is the food better in Maryland or is it better in Florida? Because you've been over 2 parts of Florida. You've been to Tampa, where I think the food is better in Tampa than it is in Orlando. That's just my opinion. And then obviously in Maryland.
Man, that's tough. The thing is like the seafood here is it hits, man. Like I didn't get seafood like this down in Florida, but you can get like the thing is Florida, man. You can get like there's so many places where you can get like really good wings, really good burgers, like
Yeah.
stuff like that. Which
Yeah.
you can get stuff like that here too, but like but I would say they each have like their positives. Like the seafood here is good, man. I like it a lot.
Okay. All right. All right. So tell me this, back to the original question. How has your time as a collegiate runner kind of helped you as a photographer?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, I feel like to photograph a sport, you need to understand it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't feel. I mean, I would do. I would go out and do it or whatever. But like, I wouldn't feel comfortable photographing like I don't know, like golf or like a sport that I don't really understand much. You know what I mean? Like archery or something random like that. Like or like hockey. Like which I mean, you obviously like you in sports you're just trying to get actions of the like shots of the action and like the emotions that players like release and stuff like that, but it's so much easier to shoot a sport when you really understand it. So like
Right.
being a runner since like middle school, like I know what a 400 is, so I know where they're finishing. Like I know like how the shot put works, I know how the high jump works, like I know where to stand. I know where not to stand. I know like from what angle to shoot. Like I know like, and it's also not just like the technical part of the sport. Like oh, a 400 is 1 lap, and 800 is 2 laps. But that's just knowing the sport as a fan too. Like I
Right.
know which athletes are competing in these. I know the implications of this race. Like this race might be a world record race, so like keep an eye out for when the athlete crosses the finish line, because you know the amount of emotion that they're about to show is going to be great to photograph. Like just knowing stuff like little stuff like that. It's like, oh, like there's like a this race has like a rivalry within it, like in the 100. Like if I was shooting a 100 between Marcel and Fred, like oh, I'm keeping my eye out on those guys because I know there's probably going to be some chirping after like right after they cross the finish line. Like you want to get some shots of that. So like it's just like as my time as a collegiate runner helped me understand the sport from a technical point, but also cultivated my fandom of the sport, which now also helps me shoot the sport because like you said, like I said, I know which athletes are in the race. I know if a race is going to be really fast or if it's going to be tactical. Like I know if there's going to be some record broken where I can kind of capture the emotion from an athlete, and it just makes it a lot easier when you have that understanding and you know which angles and how to approach the meet that you're shooting.
Last question. Why do you love what you do?
To me, it's about it's just about connecting with the athletes, man. Like connecting not just with the athletes but other creators, like other people in the sport. Like just like now I've had the opportunity to like meet agents, meet coaches, meet athletes, meeting race directors. I've even had like conversation with like meet officials, like something like I've never done in the past. Like it was like, oh, they're just the person who shoots the gun or waves the flag, but like there are people in our sport too who like have a story, like probably like ran as well, and that's why they do it and like they enjoy it and stuff like that. So like just like making those connections with other people is what I really enjoy the most. And then just seeing this the appreciation from the athletes when you like send them a picture, or like you post a picture of them that they really like, and it's like they're like, oh man, like this shot is sick, like this is like this really captured the moment, or like just sending an athlete a picture and then like saying like, oh man, like thank you so much like for sending me this, and they'll post it and tag you, and it's just like that gratification you get from people that like realistically, man, like I looked up to like all these people and like who I'm now like friends with, who I know, like there's not now I show up to meets and like there's pro runners who I used to watch on a screen on YouTube, like spend countless hours watching YouTube videos. They're like, hey, hi Jen, how you doing? I'm like to me it's still like bro, like that's
That's
RJ
crazy.
that's RJ Wilson who just said hi to me. Like, are you kidding me, bro? Like this is crazy. But it's just like, you know, keep it professional, but at the same time, like, man, I'm still a fan, bro. Like I still geek out with things like that. Like when like like certain professionals like know who I am and they're like, hey, what's up, man? Like say what's up, like dap me up. And it's just like, damn, dude, like I've been following you since you were in college, bro. Like this is crazy to me. But yeah, it's just just those making those connections, man. It's so important to me, and it's what really drives me to do what I do.
You have survived the interrogation process. Now to our last segment called Down the Home Stretch. I'm asking you a few rapid fire questions. I want you to answer them to the best of your ability. Are you ready?
Let's get it, baby.
If there was a food that you could live with for the rest of your life and a food that you could live without, what would they be?
Food that I could live with for the rest of my life. French fries, man. I love French fries. I don't think I could live without them. And then food that I can live without, I don't even know, man. Like bread.
Bread. Dang. Okay. Dang. Trigger right there, man. But that's all good. All
Burger
right.
is just a plain burger, no bread, man. Just
Who's the best? No, this is gonna get you in trouble. Who's the best boss you've worked for?
best boss. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
gonna get me in trouble, really, but Corey Leslie, Hannah Trough, and Ben Bosworth are my current bosses right now. Laura Rogers as well. They're the head of marketing here at Under Armour and the men's and women's coach for the team I work for. Honestly, great bosses, very supportive, give me the creative freedom to kind of do what I want and like continue to help this team grow, and like are always looking out for me, like take good care of me. And but yeah, those four people have been great.
If you weren't a runner or in the sport of running, what sport would you be playing?
Probably trying to play basketball. I played basketball before I became a runner. I used to play a lot of basketball. Played basketball growing up. Obviously born in Puerto Rico, so my dad used to play like minor leagues, so he tried to push me to play baseball. Was not good at that at all. So then I was like, I don't want to do this. This ain't for me, and let down my whole Puerto Rican side of the family. But yeah, basketball. I played basketball all the way up to my freshman year of high school, and then after my freshman year, I played basketball and then also ran at the same time. And after my freshman year, all my friends who was on the basketball team hit a growth spurt, and I was the only one that didn't. So I went from like being one of the tallest guys in the friend group to one of the shortest guys, and then my parents were just like, make a decision. Like we can't afford to have you doing both sports. Like which one do you want to do? And I kind of stuck with running because I was a little better at that at the time than I was at basketball. but
Most
the
overplayed.
basketball.
Okay. All right, basketball. Most overplayed song of 2023.
2023, that's this year. I would say I Just Want to Rock by
Okay.
Lil Uzi.
Okay.
But I love that song. So, it's most overplayed. It's probably by me. I play that thing all the time.
Oh my gosh. I hear that song so much. That it's a good
It's
song,
so
but
catchy though. It's crazy.
all right. Let me say this. All right. Let's try this one. Dream vacation spot.
Dream vacation spot. Somewhere in Europe, like Italy, Venice, the UK. I've never been overseas to Europe, so that's hopefully the next step in the career. Go shoot some meets out there. But yeah, if I can vacation out there in Europe, that would be sick. Spain,
If
probably like Spain, something like that.
that would actually be really dope. In Spain, just the culture, the food, man, that would
Yeah.
be legit. If they had to make a movie about your life, who's playing your character?
Who's playing my character? Like you want me to pick like a actor or just anybody?
Both.
Both?
I'm actually curious. I was gonna say actor, but I'm genuinely curious now. Both.
Actor? Oh, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of actors that look like me. Oh, I know who could play me. The dude from High School Musical. People tell me I look like him all the time with the curly
Zach.
hair.
Zach.
Shaq.
Oh, Corbin Blue.
Yeah, Corbin Blue. Corbin Blue.
I just seen that. Yeah, that is an
I actually
exact
I actually
depiction.
dressed up as him one Halloween because
Dang.
people kept telling me I looked at him, and then I bought like the Wildcats like basketball uniform like as a costume and wore it, and people were like going crazy for it.
That's
Um,
insane.
if I could have like a regular person play me, I'm trying to. I don't know. I mean, it would be kind of sick to have like I don't know, like Fred Curly play me. That'd be so funny. That
That'd be
dude's just a
weird.
character.
That
If
would
I
be
could have
weird.
someone narrate my life story though, Kipchoge. Like if Kipchoge could narrate my life story, like kind of like Morgan Freeman does in some movies. Like
Okay.
Kipchoge's voice is just so like I heard him like I got to like hear him talk and stuff like at Boston Marathon. I'm like, man, this guy just sounds like the smartest dude in any room he walks to. He's so intellectual.
I actually like that answer. That would be actually pretty dope. Okay. All right. So let me ask you this a couple more questions.
Yeah.
If you could have dinner with anybody that's currently living, who are you having dinner with?
Damn, currently living. So it can't be dead then.
Okay. No, they got to be living.
Living. All right. Damn, I'm trying to think. That's a good question. Because my go-to answer is always would always when I get asked that question, whether dead or alive, my go-to
Uh,
answer is always Kobe Bryant. So now
uh,
I've never thought of a different answer. So now I'm like you stomp me. But let me think. Um, man, I'm trying to think of someone like from back then, like Jesse Owens or like
yeah.
I'm blanking out his name, Jackie Robinson.
Okay.
Like some like people like those people are just cool to me. Like Bill Russell, like people who like play sports and like but had to do it in like really tough times. Like just like be
Yeah.
sit down and like talk to those people and like about their experiences. Like nowadays we're blessed. We can play our sports without any repercussions or like be fearing for our lives. But like those guys were the pioneers who play basketball, play baseball, ran when people didn't allow like people of color to do the stuff that we're allowed to do nowadays.
What's the coolest thing you've done this year?
Coolest thing I've done this year. Um, honestly, I would say I guess year starting 20 in January. This was before January, so I can't really count that.
I'll
Um,
give you December, starting in December.
so in December, I would say I was out like in the winter. I was out in Flagstaff with the team for altitude training camp,
Okay.
and that was pretty dope, man. It was like I had just started working and like kind of like immediately got to go to like this training camp with the team out in Flagstaff where a lot of professionals go to train. So like it was kind of like my first time like I mean obviously I experienced worlds and USAs and stuff, but this is my first time like at an actual like practices like with pros. Like I've been to meets, but like this is my first like time in like the practice scene, and like just seeing the amount of like pros and like groups that go through that NAU track for training
Yeah.
camps is insane. Like I remember being out in Flagstaff, like just grocery shopping, and I'm going down the aisle, and Jake Whiteman is pushing his cart the opposite way of me, and I was like, bro, like nah, this ain't real. Like this world champion Jake Whiteman just like shopping down the same aisle as me. Like this is crazy.
That's crazy.
And it was just fun too, because like it was my first time at altitude. Like really got to bond with the team, because all we were doing out there is training, like just like a month straight, no traveling, just like taking care of business. So I was spending pretty much every second of the day with the team, and it was my first time experiencing like a winter, like a real winter, like cold. Like I was like, man, like this ain't Florida no more, bro.
No, dude, it's different. It is way different over there, man. All right, last two questions. Why does kindness matter to you?
Because if you're kind to others, people like they'll be kind to you. I mean, it's just plain and simple, man. Like just be kind to people. Like you just never know what other people are going through. Like people have their own lives, they have their own journeys. Like just because maybe someone is rude to you for like, and but it's because they had a really bad day, or they're having a really bad day, going through some really tough times, and maybe they didn't mean to, but like it just came off rude. Like I just believe like being kind to people, like it just goes a long way. Or like if there's even times when like you're kind to people, and like you're probably the first person who's been kind to them in like a month. They just been having rough time, and like you just don't know how like just you being kind to someone, like saying some kind words, can like completely change someone's like life at the moment, because they're just going through such like tough times and stuff like that.
Last question. On this global running day, how has running been kind to you?
Oh man, running. I mean, running has been amazing to me. Has given me incredible opportunities that I probably would have never had it if I didn't run. It allowed me to get an education here in the States. And you know, like education is one of the most important things you can have nowadays, and like having a degree and stuff like that can take you a long way. So like if it wasn't for running and like the scholarships I got, like my parents wouldn't have been able to afford to like for me to go to college. And like obviously I would have to take out loans, which I did at some points in my career, but like for the most part it wasn't as taxing, and I didn't have to take out as many loans where like my parents are stressed because my kid's going to college for 4 years, but by the time he gets out he's gonna owe all this money. So you know, it allowed me to get an education, and it's allowed me to meet great people. It's allowed like some of my best friends nowadays I met through running. It's allowed me to stay healthy, stay in shape. Like just so many things that running can do for you, man. That it's crazy, man. It's an amazing sport, and I'm grateful that running either found me or I found it. But whichever one it was, I'm grateful for it.
Jan, you have successfully completed down home stretch. You killed it. I appreciate you offering such great wisdom and perspective on this global running day. Where can everybody find you, support your journey? I know you got two. You got your photography page on Instagram, but also Twitter and your normal Instagram account.
Yeah. Just keep it simple. My normal Instagram, where you can find all the things I do. You can see I share pictures on my stories. I do recaps from every meet I go to. I'm always having fun. I share a little bit of my training, just a little bit about my life and like the behind the scenes. It'll be at Jan Figueroa, which is my last name, Figueroa, and then 07, which is the day in January when I was born. But yeah, Jan Figueroa 07. You can find a little bit of everything on there. And yeah, I'm just a guy who's just enjoying life right now, enjoying the opportunities that have been given to me, and then just trying to make the sport fun and enjoyable for everyone. People who are already in the sport and people who want to get into the sport, and just make it more fun and enjoyable and accessible for everyone.
Dan, appreciate you, brother. Happy Global Running Day to everybody. Until next time, peace, love, and chicken grease.